All right, let's go. Ooh. I almost got hit twice. Woo! I love this bike. Gotta love a freaking dual sport, man, even if it's a little XT250. Nothing wrong with that. How you doing, sir? See if we get a little air. No air. No air, not fast enough for that. I have, you know, basically done it all with my R1 at this point, and I wanted to kind of spread my experience so you guys don't waste the, you know, same amount of time I do, and I just sort of make it easy for you. So anyway, let's get onto this main road before I start talking. Oh, come on. Now I got another car. Alright, I'm going. No, I'm not. I'm getting old. I've been sitting here so long. I've got tuberculosis. YouTuberculosis. Get it? Come on. You ever just think there's too many people in the world? Like, honestly, the real problem isn't like pollution or anything like that. It's just there's too many of us. That's the issue. Like, if we just would stop having so many dang kids, we could all be driving around in frickin' lifted trucks with open exhaust, and the earth would be better off than it is now. Just please go. Please just go, woman. Why the fuck are you not going? What is she doing? Oh my god, I'm about to go around the back of her because... Dude, I'm gonna run out of gas. I've been sitting here so long. Oh, there's another one. Well, at least he went. Holy moly, dude, this is excruciating. Well, at least I know my bike idles well. Oh, and I can't quite... Oh, there's another one. The fuck? How many people live around here? Alright, I'm going around her if she doesn't go. Screw it. Jeez. Oh my gosh. I'll probably edit a lot of that out, but God, basically, no joke, sat there for 15 or 20 minutes. I know people in New York are like laughing at me right now. It's nothing, man. But anyway, let me open my shield back up. There we go. Whew. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about this because I've really been through the entire thing. I've done everything you can do. So there's really two main options that have a lot of little sub-options when you're going to tune a bike. And if you get an exhaust or something like that, just so you know, I highly recommend that you do tune your bike in some way. In my case, you know, I'm tuning my R1. The first option you can do is a mail-in ECU flash type service. Now, this is good if you don't have access to a dyno. You can't afford a custom dyno tune, something like that. And then the other option is a custom dyno tune. Now, initially what I went with was a mail-in ECU flash service. I'm not going to really name names because I don't want to, like, you know, I have no reason to spread ill will about anybody right now, at least. So, you know, that was okay in some areas, good in some areas, really bad in some. The good was it removed all the restrictions, and any flash that's worth its weight in salt should remove any stock restrictions on your ECU, meaning all the throttle restrictions, you know, your top speed limit, just, you know, fueling restrictions, all kinds of stuff like that. And just by doing that alone on a modern superbike, it's going to add horsepower. You know, I would say anywhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 just by doing that. And then some will have a custom map that the place will claim to have developed. So mine was the latter. It was supposed to have all of that, and basically it did give me some top end power. It took the bike from, I think, about 160 to 175, somewhere around there. That's wheel horsepower. And it was relatively the same on 2 dynos. The second dyno, it was a little bit lower, but so I just like to bring up the first dyno because everyone will think I have a bigger PP that way. But no, for real, the second dyno, I think it's still tested like 168, 169, so it should be relatively what it was actually making to the wheel. So that was helpful. The top end fueling on it was pretty dang good. It was a little off, and then unfortunately there were some lean spikes and there were really rich areas where the air to fuel ratio just was way out of whack. And the reason for that is, even though every ECU tune that a company like the company I'm not going to name mails out, every mail-in tune they do is the same, every bike isn't the same, and especially every engine isn't the same. So there's going to be variables that throw stuff off, and it's actually pretty staggering how different engines can be one to the other. You know, just how so many things. Not to mention just, you know, the air quality where you're at, the temperature. I mean, so many things can throw it off. It's ridiculous. So that being said, I spoke to the same company, and they recommended I get something called ECU Active Tune. So ideally, what that was supposed to do was tune the bike live while I was riding it to the perfect air-fuel mixtures and make live corrections and all that type of stuff, so the bike should be almost perfect. Taking a shortcut here. Oh, jeez, look at those wheels. Oh, man. So it was something I had to install on my bike. I replaced the stock wideband plug, and is that guy yelling at me? Seriously? But I should mention that I had a full aero exhaust and some other goodies, so it did have a spot for a wideband O2 sensor to go. So I replaced the stock plugs, rather, which weren't wideband. I replaced it with a high quality Bosch Lambda, and then it plugged into a ECU Active Tune module, which then plugged into the stock plug on my bike, and supposedly that was supposed to actively tune the bike as I was riding it. I did finally get to a point where I met a really good friend of mine. Check him out. His name's Joel Radar. He's at Midwest Motorrad Tuning. He's a pretty small shop, but the guy does a really, really solid job, and spends a lot of time tuning your bike. And so got with him. And by the way, he's primarily doing like BMWs right now, but he does everything. So got with him. We were actually able to put this to the test and found out that what they promised really wasn't the case. It was making corrections, but it just wasn't enough to compensate for those lean spikes and rich spikes. And, you know, the bike was still way out of tune. So, you know, take that as you will. I don't think it's perfect. Maybe something was weird with my bike, but I kind of doubt it. We checked all the hardware. You know, it didn't seem like that was the case, but whatever. So the next thing you can do is a custom dyno tune, which if you have the means and access, I highly, highly recommend doing that. They'll be able to basically look at your bike and tune in real time and develop a tune that works specifically for your motorcycle. It's the whole reason that dyno tuners exist. It's why they're in business. It's significantly better than anything else on the market right now. And for doing that, you really have two choices. You can use, you've got basically two choices. You can use what's called a power commander, or even Woolwich, which essentially, from my understanding, that piggybacks onto your stock ignition, or and controls it as sort of a third-party module, and that's really kind of old school. It's what's been being used by everybody up until this point. If you have an older bike, you probably don't have any other choice but to do it this way. But the new kid on the block is FlashTune, and FlashTune's really cool because you get their software for free, but you do have to buy licenses, or I guess a license to flash it. You also, I recommend you buy the bike side harness and install it yourself. That'll allow your tuner to get, you know, well, I don't know, not real-time readings if you don't have an active tune kit, but it'll allow them to flash it on the fly without having to take the ECU out of the bike. You'll just be able to plug directly into that, plug into a laptop, and adjust parameters on the ECU, which is really cool. And it works really, really well. So the good thing about that is you don't have to add anything on to the existing bike as far as like a piggyback system, other than that little harness, so you can tap into the ECU and all that. And the software is, from what I've seen, is pretty freaking good. I'm trying to find my friend's bike here. It works really, really well. And it's, you know, it's pretty intuitive. The good thing is, if you go this way, you can actually flash your own bike if you don't want to pony up to pay for a dyno tune, or you don't have access to a dyno or something like that, which is really, really nice, because they have maps on there that will allow you to flash your bike. So you can, at a minimum, do an unrestricted flash. There's also some maps from like Graves exhaust and stuff that are preloaded on there just as like a courtesy. That's really cool. Oh, you know what? I bet he didn't even ride his bike. That's probably what it is. You know, so those they've adjusted fueling and other stuff, ignition and stuff like that. And they work really, really well. So, you know, essentially you're getting everything you would get with the Flash. You just got to pay a little bit more money for it, and then you have the ability to do a custom dyno tune. Now, there is one caveat, and I got warned about this. Not a lot of tuners are using FT ECU yet, and it kind of sucks, because they'll probably try and steer you down the road of using Power Commander or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with Power Commander, but the ECU on these new bikes is so much more powerful than what you can get from a piggyback system. It's kind of crazy, and a lot more can be adjusted. Whereas with the Power Commander, I've been told you can only adjust like the top 10% of the power curve, and there's not nearly as much as you can do. So, and you can't, you know, adjust other things super easily, like fans and top speed limiter and all kinds of stuff like that. So I would recommend the FT ECU, but, you know, make sure you can get to a tuner who knows how to work it or is willing to learn, like the you know, like Joel right now at Midwest is going through. And that'll probably be your best bet. So let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I'll be happy to help out, and hope you get everything squared away, and I don't know, have your bike make some more power, I guess. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.